Today I'm going to discuss how to overcome your fears as I did my fear of heights, and I think this is a huge topic because who doesn't have fear? And if you're like me, you have fear potentially every single day on some level. Maybe it's big fears, maybe it's some smaller fears, but fear is something that's innate to the human psyche and the human, and it won't go away. And as much as we try to, and I love when I hear this term fearless, which is absolute bullshit in my opinion, because the research that I've done over the years in and around fear and how it works in the psychology and also the physiology and how it affects human potential, nobody on this earth does not have fear. Now, the difference between those who have fear and those who don't, I guess, is how you overcome it, the strategies and the mindsets that you bring towards those fears. And I'm going to give you a true story very shortly about how I overcame my fear of heights. And this came up yesterday. We had a great interview, Ness and I, for our podcast. Incredible guy, Tom. So shout out to you, Tom, if you're watching or listening here. And we started speaking about fear, and that was a really interesting topic, because is it fear that holds us back? And on some level, yeah, it is. Maybe you've got a fear of heights like I did, or a fear of public speaking, or maybe it's a bigger fear like, can I start the business? Can I grow the business? Can I make my marriage or my relationship successful? Can I, earn the money that I want to earn? The fear of failure, rejection, success, the fear of, failure? I said failure. A fear of maybe, can I really get in great shape around your health? Whatever your fears are. Maybe it's more fear of spiders, or fear of being licked on the face by a dog. I don't know your fear, but what I'm going to share with you is how to overcome it. And you can use this anytime you feel fear. And remember, fear is just a response to say, hey, pay attention here. Because 90% of our fears never come true. Hey, Judy, thanks for joining the live cast here. But when we think about fear, I want you to think about one thing. I want you to think about how is it affecting your life. No matter what fears you've got, whether they're big fears or small fears, how is it affecting your life? Because if you can put language towards that, then that's a great way to overcome it. But a couple of years ago, Ness and I was traveling Europe, and we traveled Europe for 9 months straight. And we went up the Eiffel Tower in France, and if you've ever been there, on the first story, there's a glass section where you can walk over, and I was petrified. And there was no way I was going to be doing that shit, because my fear of heights over the years has got worse and worse and worse. So we were up there on the Eiffel Tower, and she was standing on there, had these like silver beams in between the glass. And I was petrified, telling her to get off, and we'd been to a few castles and the same sort of thing. I didn't like when she went to the edge, because I was really fearful of it myself. But what I did was I went out on those steel beams, which was covered by glass. It was completely safe. And I was petrified, and I had sweaty palms, and my heart was racing, and I started getting sweaty, here on my forehead. And maybe you can relate if you've got a fear of heights yourself. And what I did was, I did it, and it wasn't very enjoyable. It definitely wasn't very comfortable. But then I think it just, not long after, a few nights later, I was just laying in bed. And here's what I'm going to share with you today, which I think will find it really valuable. And all you need to do is relate this to any fears that you have, which pop up all the time. I was laying in bed, and I thought, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try the power of the mind, because I understand the power of psychology and the mindsets in our conscious and subconscious mind. But how does this really work? So what I did was I laid there, and I felt the feelings of what it's like when I'm afraid of heights, what it's like leaning over the edge or looking over, the feeling you get in the pit of your stomach like you're going to be sick. The thought of what's it like, what would happen if I fell. Obviously you die. And I felt those feelings. And I was laying there, eyes closed, in bed, mentally rehearsing what it was like to feel the fear. But here's the great thing. I was there in a safe container in my mind. Because remember, the unconscious and conscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So here's what you need to do. Whatever fear you've got, in my case it was the fear of heights, you want to go there in the mind. And I didn't just go there once. I lay there, and I went there, and I felt the feeling, and I felt sick. And then I came away from the edge, and then I went back over the edge, and I visualized, mentally rehearsed, looking over the edge, feeling those feelings. And each time I did it 10 to 12 times. And each time I felt those feelings, and guess what happened? Each time I did it, the feelings of that fear response in the body, slowly dissipated. So then the next day, this was in Greece at the time, we're staying in Santorini. If you've ever been there, magical place, you got to get there. on the island of Santorini, and we did a walk out to a lighthouse the day after, and I thought, I'm going to put this to the test. I'm going to put this to the test to see how this has worked for me. And we walked out, and the lighthouse was right at the end, as they usually are, of the island. And we walked out, and there was all these rocks, and there was no fence or anything. Safety was an absolute no-brainer there, no issue there. And I looked out over the edge, and guess what happened? I had no fear response. And I'll step back a few meters, and then I'll walk back to the edge again. I look back over again, no fear response. And I said to Ness, come over here. And she was like, well, what are you doing? You're so close to the edge. I was like, well, I wasn't that close, but I was close enough to be able to see down. But for her knowing that I was afraid of heights, she was like, how are you doing that? Usually you'd be petrified. Usually you'd be meters and meters away from the edge. And then I relayed exactly what I said to you right here on this Facebook Live about how to overcome fear and how I specifically overcame my fear of heights. And she was blown away. So I went from having a fear of heights, and then I mentally rehearsed and felt the feelings of that fear. And now I no longer am fear of heights. I can walk up to edges. I can do whatever it needs to be done on a high rise, whatever it is. Look over in through the windows. It doesn't matter, because mentally rehearsing is very powerful. So I'm sure if you're watching this, you've heard the power of visualization. You can use this to overcome fears. Whatever your deepest fears are, use the safe container of your mind to mentally rehearse and feel the feelings continuously. Repetitions is mother of skill and learning, and you will overcome your fears just like I did. So I hope this Facebook Live has served. I hope it's been valuable to you. Pass it on, comment below. Appreciate everybody who's jumped on. If you're watching the replay, thank you. If you want to find out more about how to unlock your highest potential, live an extraordinary life, you want some insight, perspective, coaching, make sure you head over to timandness.com.au/join revolution. You find out all about what Ness and I are up to over there, our podcast, everything that we're serving and leading, and really love what we do. So check it out over there if you want more inspiration, motivation. And thanks for jumping on this Facebook Live. Wherever you're watching, thanks again, and take care, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.